Okay, let's get this thing with some lights. Okay, then that should work better. I don't know. iStream comments show up here. Okay, so let's get the channel advertise. I don't know how this shows up in Twitter. That's a good question. I should. Am I? How do I configure? You are live. What about YouTube? If I look at my channel, okay, looks like I'm live. What about Twitter? I think I have. How do I go in? Okay, now I see that. And then in here, I can see that being chat. Okay. And then Twitter, I don't have any idea if this thing is. Oh, okay, now I see it. You can join Twitter. Let me see. Retweet. I think I want to quote tweet. Twitch TV. And yeah, okay. Record. Okay. It should be good. So let me share my screen. Let me see. All the things should come into the chat. So if you cannot hear me, I see I can hear myself. This is off. This is off. Oh, okay. Now everything's off. So we should be good to start. So what I want to show, let me bring this thing here. Share my screen. Share extra camera. That's extra camera to share stuff. I'll do that. Nope. I want to share my screen. Share screen. There you go. Now we're good. Okay. So let's see what we have today. Make a little this bigger. Let's make window bigger. And then what we're going to do today is look at Microk8s. Microk8s is a distribution of Kubernetes. And I don't need this. And what we're going to be using, I have in a macOS, we're going to be using Multipass. And there's some issues with Microk8s, so a lot of people get in trouble by using the Knative add-on in Microk8s. So we're going to do a manual install, and then we'll look at what's the problem with Microk8s, and then open an issue and probably open a PR to help out and fix it. So Multipass, if you Google Multipass, is a very cool way of creating virtual machines. So let me open a window here. I will look for Multipass. So you can find the info in Multipass, and the first thing to do is to install it. You can install it with a package, so it comes from Linux, Windows, and Mac. I'm going to be using Mac. And the Mac instructions says to download Multipass, which that downloads a PKG. You can also do it through brew install. So I already did it. I'm not going to do it again. That's the boring part, but I'm creating a README in documentation so I can put it in a GitHub repo and share it later. But I grab this URL. I'll put instructions here. How to install it. We'll install Multipass. And then the next thing is do not use VirtualBox. I don't know why the instructions say the first thing is to set VirtualBox. And the problem with this is that VirtualBox would not let you access the VM from your host machine. So in normal circumstances, you're creating web apps and you want to access the thing from the browser, or you want to access things through SSH or a port that is open inside the VM. So do not use VirtualBox. What you want to do is use QEMU, which this is a better way. You want to use HarperKit or you want to use QEMU. I think I saw in one of the GitHub repos in Multipass that they're going to deprecate HarperKit support. I don't know why, but to get QEMU installed, you can use libvirt. So I install libvirt, which I did. I'm not going to do it again. That's kind of boring. And the next thing I'm going to do is, and I'm skipping a few things because yesterday I did a stream and it took two hours and a half. So this stream should be like less than 40 minutes. Want to keep the streams a little bit short. But yeah, you have brew, libvirt, and then what you want to do is not follow the instructions. So set up the drivers to QEMU. If you want to use HarperKit, you can use HarperKit, but you need to install HarperKit. Probably you have HarperKit if you had Docker Desktop or some other tool that use HarperKit. But I was playing with QEMU today. I used both and both work. So I'll run that, and you have to do a sudo your computer. The other commands don't have to do it. So this is just to allow it to be able to access the network and disk. Then the next thing you want to do, and installing Multipass, it lets you add this little GUI in your thing. Add my demo tool thing. So I was showing up here. It give you that you can open a shell, start something, and then set the default is primary. But you can set the primary to a different name. So I use Knative. So this for tutorials. If you have Multipass, I don't want to mess with your setup. So I'm going to name the VM Knative. Then the next thing is if you're going to install Knative serving only, actually you don't need 3 CPUs. You can do it with probably 1 or 2. I think 2. If you're going to do serving and eventing, definitely you need 3. 2 gigs of RAM is fine. You can do 1 gig. That's okay. And then one problem that I hit is if you use the default uses 5 gigs, and was when I was creating a few containers, the kubelet start complaining about disk pressure. So create something around maybe 7, 8 or more. This is the disk. So we'll create, and then the name, we're going to name the VM Knative. So let's run this command down here. Oh, and it says that it's already there. So let me delete it so you can see how it should work. So if you do multipass list, so one of the things that you want to delete a VM, you can delete it, but then you have to purge it. It'll be annoying, but that's okay. So we'll do multipass. I already did the delete, but I need to do a purge. So I do a purge, and then it's gone. And then let's run the command again. So a VM called the name Knative, 3 CPUs, 2 gigs of RAM, disk 8 gigs. Let me see if the stream is working. It's going on Twitch. It's going on Twitter. The first time I have used Twitter, I figure out how to do it. And then YouTube should be a public thing, I hope. Yeah, I wonder if people go to my channel and they see the link. That's my channel, and if I use incognito, let me show what I'm doing here. While that thing is running, I want to see if, okay, so incognito is running, and that's my Camaro Joe. I'll be using it today, later, to grill something, smoke something. So yeah, people should be able to see this live stream. I may delete it later because I don't like to leave kind of like experimental type of things on YouTube. I may just delete also the Twitter one. But during the live, if people want to see it, I'm going to leave the one in Twitch. I think it lasts 14 days. I don't know if it's useful to save these streams. If you watch this later, DM me or write me in Twitter or Discord in a book club. So the VM is created, and then another thing that you can do is set that primary name to Knative. If you want to use it all the time, or even for this demo or tutorial is good. So this would avoid you from like multi-pass to do something with the VM and then always pass the name with dash with the name. So in this case, you don't have to pass the name. And then I think it should show up here. So if you even like open a shell, then you should be going into that VM. Let's see if it went in. Yes. So as you can see, if you come back tomorrow, you can open it from the GUI and then stop it and open the shell and then start it if you don't delete it. So I'm going to use the VS Code one because I'm going to be editing things as I find issues or typos. So go ahead and log into. So this is just a Linux VM running in your computer. So you can just go in as the typical Ubuntu VM Linux is 20.04. It tells you the IP address, which it gave me a 205.18. I can access that from my Mac OS, the host, 7 gigs, CPU, does it say here? No. And then the other thing to be aware is that it doesn't come with a password. So you are logging in as, who am I? As Ubuntu. But if you need things like SSH copy ID and things like that, you need to set the password. We can set it, but I think for this demo, we're not going to use it. But if you want to know how to do that, you can do sudo wd ubuntu, right? And then put whatever password you want. So like Knative, right? Knative, I can type it correctly twice. And that's your password to Ubuntu. And Ubuntu, this user is part of the sudo. So you can do sudo something with Ubuntu. You don't have to log in as root. So the next thing inside, we're going to do install Microgate. So let me go to the website, grab a little bit and show what that is. So Microg8s is the Ubuntu Linux distribution. It follows upstream Kubernetes, and it's open source. There's a GitHub repo which will be opening an issue. So if you do GitHub Microg8s, you should be able to see it here. So let me grab this and put it here. Here. And I can say or from GitHub. And the repo. People just want to grab something from head. They can do that from here. And we'll do and this, so it looks nice. Commands, and let's run it. Basically, I'm following the instructions from the website. So for Microk8s, where's Microk8s? This is Multipass, this is Microk8s. And we are installing it. Actually, you can run Microk8s in macOS. You can do a brew install Microk8s, but I'm doing it through Ubuntu Linux. Yeah, so this is the command that I grab. And then if you run the command to get the status, it will not work because that user doesn't belong to and doesn't have the instructions here, but I have it in my docs. Yeah, these instructions are not very, I think they're not up to date. They have more information in the real docs, not in the real docs, but the full docs. So if you go here, actually, I'm going to point people to here. I think this is a better documentation than this one, and they should be able to find instructions to install it, like macOS. So they tell you for macOS, the requirements, and that you can do brew. So see, you can do brew. Okay, so this is the Mac. Don't get confused me. This is macOS. If you want to run Microg8s without Multipass, but I'm doing like a Linux thing, so I'll be installing in Linux. So getting started, basically they're telling you to do the sudo snap and then join the group, which doesn't have in the main page. So this is done, and then the next thing is, like in the instructions, you want to add it to the user. So you can then run Microg8s as a user of that group that is allowed to do it. And then, I don't know, I don't think you need to do this. It may be situations that you need to do this, but I don't think you need to do it, but let's put it here because it's in the instructions. And then to refresh, people try to do the command again and they get into trouble. So what you need to do is just exit and then come back to refresh the group and then log back in. So now you are part of that group in context in that login, and then you can run the wait ready. So yeah, I'm running all the commands at the top because I'm in the corner and people don't see that. So as you can see, I can make this one bigger here. It says that this is creating a Kubernetes with one node. This is talking about the data store, and then what things are enabled, and what things are disabled. So it looks like it created an HA cluster. So basically you can run Microg8s in another computer with the join command and then join here, and then that becomes a 2-node cluster. It's pretty neat. So the thing that you have to do for Knative is do not run this command until probably on a future update where I'm going to submit a PR. I pull request to update it to properly install it. Right now it has like 2 issues. Like one is an old version. 2 is an old version that with new versions of Kubernetes, like on unknown fields, you will get CRD problems. I think the third one is trying to use Istio and is a nightmare. So I'm going to show today like how to easily get it up and running. So you can check, one of the things on Microgate is the kubectl. So the kubectl, you don't have to install it. You can use Microgate's kubectl or kubectl, and you can check the nodes. I think that's what I was going to show. So you can see I'm running 123.3, which is the latest stable release of Kubernetes. And it's one node and it's ready. But instead of typing Microg8s kubectl for all the things we're going to do an alias. And you're like me, you like to do auto-completion. We can do kubectl completion dash h to get the command for bash. See where I can find it. The command for bash, you can configure it like every time you log in, it's there. But to do that one, and then for k, my little trick is run complete grep for. People are not seeing this command, I bet. So what I ran was this command, and then I'm doing complete grep kubectl, and then you can run this command with the k at the replace the last kubectl with k, and then that's it. Now you can use the tab to autocomplete things like flags and all that stuff. So and one of the things that was weird, like it doesn't come with kubedns. So if you do k get pods -a, it only is running. You don't see the system, like the API server, scheduler, and all those things, but it looks like DNS is not running. So strange to me, like they don't install DNS by default. So let's install DNS, and then we install core DNS. I don't know why it's not enabled by default. Maybe if people want to use a different DNS implementation. So it's restarting the kubelet and installing DNS, and DNS will use whatever is configured in the host. So DNS is enabled. So now we should have an extra pods here. I wonder if StreamYard lets me put my face in the other corner. To figure out. Oh, there's people in the chat. That's from Street. Hi, Eddie. Cool. So at least there's one person watching. So then the next thing is you want to install Knative, and you can follow the instructions in the Knative website. Let me bring it up here. So you visit Knative, the latest version is 1.2. That was released recently, but instructions don't change that much, just the version number. So this is to install the CLI. So what you want to install, that link took me to the, maybe that's wrong. Yeah, that's the wrong link. So you don't want the client, you want to install the YAML. So you want to install YAML. And today I'm going to maybe show just serving, but eventing is the same process. Serving is where people get stuck because of the load balancer and the IP address and the host name and all that stuff. So the real URL is this one. Install YAML. You can use the operator, which if people want to see, we can show that also. The operator is down here. There's an operator, and then you install a CR representing serving or eventing. But this is what I think most people are using when they get started. We also have the quick start. That's a tutorial, but in this case, I'm installing a VM. So I'll grab the CRDs. But actually, I already have the command, so or I can do it from here. That doesn't matter. So first one is the CRD. Second one is the actual resources for serving. As you can see, 120, that's the version. If there's a patch version, you will find it in the repo. So if you go to KN serving, I don't think there's been a patch, but if you go to serving, you will see like 121. And I believe we don't update the docs. Docs get updated, releases get updated every 6 weeks. So 1.3 should come in about maybe 4 weeks. So that's those two. And then the next one is you don't want to use Istio if you want to get started faster. So you have to choose between Courier, which is provided by Knative, Istio, or Contour. And in the future, we're going to support the Kubernetes API gateway. And that way, we don't have to worry about this. We have to worry about like which implementation of Kubernetes API gateway we're going to use. So let's go. If you're not sure, we added this. We choose this if you're not sure. So let's use Courier. Install that one. Then these are basically the same instructions I have here. I'm going to post it in a tutorial. And then we have to tell Knative is to the controllers, when you create a Knative serving, which controller, which network layer do you want to create things for? So you have to say, but for Courier, is it for Istio, is it for Contour? And that you will need to configure. So it's like a different command for each one. So let's grab one for Courier and put that here. And I think that's it. And then what we need to do is check the status of that Courier system, which basically is the ingress load balancer, where the request will first hit when the request enters the cluster. It doesn't matter if it's internal or external, and it will do routing based on host name. And that's where people get a little bit sidetracked. So as you can see, this is the first problem, right? So if you continue with the installation, try to do your service, it will say some stuff will not work because we need to hit that IP address. And if you do port forward, you have to pass a header with the host name, or you do a curl. So it's kind of a little bit complicated. So the easiest way is always assume that you have a load balancer. So what we can do is, I put here, is we can enable, we can use metal LB, and with the command Microk8s enabled. So that will make it super easy. And I choose a range at the end of the subnet that is already here. So you can use IPA. That's not the beer. And check what is the IP address, right, assigned. So I have 192, which we saw at the beginning, 192.168.205.18 with the subnet mask of 24. So the subnet is 192.168.205.0, and I got 18. So I can access .18 from my host macOS, and also from inside. So I choose 205, 250 to 254, and that should give us, if you can put like 1 or 2 IP addresses, and that's enough for getting this thing. And I know I put that there. That's kind of a hacky way of doing it, but let's go ahead and then run it. And then let me move this up. I really need to put StreamYard to remove that, my face from the corner. I need to look for, maybe I can do a different trick next time. So meta LB is enabled, and then we can run the command again to check. And now we have an IP address. So now when we send requests to this IP address, which is the ingress Courier, first thing it's going to check is the host name. And based on the host name, it's going to route the traffic to the Knative service. It doesn't matter in which namespace it's located. So this is a global thing for the whole cluster. Also another point that people get a little bit confused. So it's one ingress. Even for internal or external traffic, you will hit that basically Courier gateway, which is one pod right now. But if you want more pods, you can add an HPA. It's a deployment. That should be easy to do. So we check again. We have an IP address, and then Oh yes. So the next thing is you can edit manually. Right, you have to configure Knative with a domain name suffix that maps to this IP address, and the easiest way is to use ssl-ip.io. So for example, if we say, I don't know if this thing has dig. Yes. So if you do dig that IP address, which was what's IP address? Let me show it. So if you do dig foo dot Knative assigns a namespace, we'll show that a little bit later, and you can do things like nip.io zip, but we use ssl.ip, and that returns back the same IP address. I think. Oh, ssl.ip.io. Forgot the .io. See, and that returns IP address. So it's a nice way to configure DNS without having a DNS domain name you buy. So and also for testing. So for that, we're going to run this little helper pod job. It's called the Magic DNS. It's in the instructions. So right, we verify that everything's running. Oh, we didn't verify. So I'll add this. That everything's running. Where do I add this? Check. Native is up. Serving. And it's created. So what we did was it went to edit the config map. You could edit this manually, but this is a kind of like configuring config map dynamically. So if you want to see it, you can do get config map -n knative serving config domain. And then at the end, I could do. There's a value in here. So I went in here under data and I added this line. So I did 192 IP address.sslip.io and then empty string. You could have done it this manually without that helper job, but using the job, it's kind of a helper. So Knative should be up. So everything is running. You can see the job that ran. We configured DNS, and then we're going to use the Knative CLI. You don't have to. You can create just a little snippet of YAML, but you can use the Knative CLI even to generate some YAML. So you can grab the latest version from the release page for Linux, for Mac, even for Linux you can use Brew, but I don't have Brew in here, right? We have this new Ubuntu, haven't done anything to it. So let's just download the binary. We don't have signed checksums and such, but we're discussing it to add it. So probably we're going to use cosign to sign the blobs and the checksums. We have KN. So one thing that you can verify is that we have KN. One thing that KN will complain is right now the default Kubernetes config file is not set. There's nothing in here. So Microg8s, everything we run kubectl is like using a cache version for another location. So to get it, you can run this command and populate it. So let's populate it. And the next thing is, so KN should be there. So we do KN attach help. Everything's there. All the things that you can do with Knative. So we're going to be using service. And, oh, there's people in the, Wally's here. Hello, Wally. And then contour. Yes, you can use contour. Istio, or you can use other plugins, or the networking layers also should work. It's a matter of configuring like Ambassador or Linkerd. There's blog post out there. Ambassador. But I'm hoping to get the API gateway. And then Ellie saying that the add-ons are nice. Yeah. So let's create our first hello world. And I like to do this one just because a lot of Kubernetes folks use Nginx as their hello world. And using port 8 is something that at some point Knative didn't support because we didn't support. I think we were hard coding the TMP. But now it works, so we can also do our demos with Nginx. So this basically we create the YAML, the little YAML for the service, and then do a kubectl apply. Also, it's going to do like waiting for the revision to be ready. One of the things that Knative does is it by default it goes and grabs the digest of Nginx. In this case, I didn't pass a tag, so the digest of latest, whatever is right now today at this time, and this is the actual final container URL that is going to be in the pod, and that will make that is a little bit a better solution even for production. So we get back our URL and we can just open it in the browser. That's the cool thing, right? You can open it and then call it a bunch of times. And this is running on my Mac, so that's what I wanted to use HarperKit or QEMU. I can also do a curl. You can get the URL. Always you can get the URL from here, and basically this is in the status of this Knative service is located there. If you want to, actually I didn't put it here. We're not seeing my face. So that will give you the URL. You can also get it through the YAML. So if you do, I don't know, let's do k-edit k-service instead of SVC. The name is Nginx. And you will see that there's a status field and there's an address. So actually, this is the internal one. Down here is the external one. So if you also another thing to know about Knative can be configured. You can configure a service to not be like exposed to the outside the cluster, just internally, so east to west traffic. So if you have something else talking to that service, it will scale to zero, scale from zero, and everything works as well. It's just need to access it through that host name, and you can do it minimum as nginx.default. You have to put the namespace because I said that the ingress is global, but if you just put nginx, it would not know which nginx in which namespace. So you have to put nginx.default or the whole full qualified domain name. So that's just tip it on that. And then we can curl it. So let's curl it. And we should say hello. No, this is nginx. So it should come back with nginx. And it worked. It's my face in the middle, but it works. Let me see if there's questions on the stream. No questions. What else can we do? Yeah, so the magic of you can start pushing apps, do development, do testing. One of the magic things is if you check the pods, the replicas, after a little while, this has been like 39 seconds since created, but the last request that I did, it was scaled to zero, would disappear. So let's do. And actually, one thing that I want to see is if I can run. Now I can access. Yeah, I should be able to access this from my regular computer. So I should be able to grab. Where is the command? Kn service describe nginx -o YAML. And KN has an autocompletion also. That's not all YAML, is all URL. Right, service this, I cannot type. So it's that thing about doing live streaming and your superpowers of typing, they go away. So I can take this and then open a new terminal. Should open one. Yeah, let's open one here. And now this is on my computer, so I should be able to do curl, and then, yep, and it's back. And one thing that you can do is, I open another one. I don't want that one. Going back here where I have, can see it layout, kubectl and kn. Let me do the kn completion thing. Completion -h. It looks like there's a command here. I can do the source. And now I can do kn. So I can do kn, also update that service. So there's different commands, different things that you can update. And this will create a new revision. So you can do update -h, and there's things that you can put in here like scaling. So we can set the scale max to like do not give me more than X amount of pods. So I'll update it to say don't give me more than 3, and then we'll say that also the scale target is 1. So 1 request approximately, or you can just do a very hard limit, which is concurrency. You can set the concurrency to 1, and that will be like 1 request at a time will be processed by the pod. And some use cases is like processing a lot of information or in memory, and you don't want to request maybe 2, because then both will be like accessing too much memory. And Knative can do a little bit of buffer and make sure that that request is done before sending the next one. That's what the job of the activator and the queue proxy working together. So let's update it and show a demo on that. So if we want to do kn service update nginx -- concurrency, what's the command? Concurrency. I think it was concurrency. Yeah. So that's the autocomplete. Limit 1, and then we can say scale max, don't more than 3, and then to show, yeah, I think that's okay. Or just to watch, like scale to 0 faster, I can say scale window. So the window of time to analyze to see there's no more requests, it's time to go to 0. Or you can make it very, very large, like the after the last request, wait an hour, leave it running for an hour, just in case there's a request coming in. And we can say like 10 seconds. So let's update it, and that should create a new revision. So we should see 2 revisions, one under the previous one. So now it's ready, and it's the same URL. So if you do kn revision list, you will see that there's 2 revisions, and the new one has 100% of the traffic. Let me see what describe has. Service describe nginx. There's some information here, like the URL and then the traffic splitting. Yeah, it's the same information. So let's access this in a way. Let's see if Control R will work. There you go. So that should bring the pods up. Yes, and then I can do k pods, and in 10 seconds should disappear. So I have ctl get pods, so I can do that, and I can do a watch. I cannot type. Oh, I know, because of the alias, I think it is. Maybe I didn't do Microk8s, maybe. Yes. Okay, so they're already terminating. And they're gone. But I should not get more than 3 replicas, and the pod should not see one request, more than one request. So let's hit it hard from my computer because I don't have hey. I can do hey and that IP address, this IP address, and I can say run for 3 minutes and then hit it there. Okay, Russell. And Ed is saying that Knative is easy to install, no relation to the early days. Yes, there used to be some pragmatic things to install. Basically, it was mostly I want to bring Istio. Oh, let me show what's happening behind the scenes. So there's 3 replicas running, and they're sustainably getting traffic, but every one of those pods, each pod is not processing one request, more than one request. And we should not have errors like 543 or like things bouncing back in 3 minutes. And we'll do a little bit of GitHub stuff to show people like open source, and then we'll end. So if there's questions, go ahead. You can ask. Where you're watching this recording, you can ask me on Twitter. I think I will not wait for the 3 minutes thing, but I can kill it and get the stats from hey. So I did 11,000 requests, all of them 200, and all of them to the histogram. I thought it was a 95 percentile. Yeah, 95 percentile. So 95 percentile, 0.7. So that's 700 milliseconds. So that's Knative for Microg8s. So the next thing, let me push this. I think these instructions are good for people to follow along. So let me add these things. So let me open my terminal. Then let's open a GitHub repo. I always like to show people that they can work on open source and they can work on their own repos. So let me go to GitHub. And I will create a new repo. And I will call this one okay, I think I'm calling them all Knative something. Microg8s. Running Knative on Microg8s. Public, and yeah, I don't know how to remove this Travis CI from here. I already removed the app. So we'll do our git init. I think I have 2 files. I'll do the git add 2 files, and then follow and do the git commit, and change the default branch to main, and then push it. Everything looks okay. And then I refresh, and we have open source in the making, a file and a license. So if you are one of those people that ask, how do I get started in open source? Using Git is one way, and also learning about the licenses is another one. So we're here. So the issue that we have with Microk8s, if you try to install Microk8s in here, is that it will install an old version and install Istio also. So if you go to Microgate GitHub Repo, you will see, I think in the script, that's called actions, something called actions. Where's this thing? Resources, actions, and there's one for Knative, and then this is version 0.24, which is like 4 or 5 releases back. And then this thing also installs this is the disable. So this installs the enable. There should be one with enable Knative. I don't know why they have two scripts. This one. So it does Istio and 0.24. So I think what we want is submit a PR that updates this. But let's open an issue or see if there's an issue for Knative and people already complaining. Look at that, November 9. Knative not working on Microgate 1.22. So this person does this, it does this, and then default. What is the problem? Inspect. It seems to be similar to this. B isn't happy with 122. Yeah, I think this is part of the unknown name resource in CRDs. So we have to update. Yeah, unknown default. So Kubernetes said that they don't have breaking change, but I'm not going to say anything about it. So let's submit a PR to fix that. Let me see how we're doing with time. So let's look for the Microg8s. I think I lost it. Do I have a fork on this thing? Let's start, and then let's fork it. Oh yeah, I don't have it. Cool. So the first thing you have to do is fork the thing. Also, already like read the license and the CLA and all that. So I'm not that stupid. So you also need to do that with any open source project that you work on. Read the license, read what is the license agreement to contribute, and also ask your boss if you're allowed to do it. And yeah, this is my fork, and I'll go through my ritual. Use the GitHub CLI these days to make it a little bit easier. So with this, I'll go and clone this dev and Knative Microk8s. Let me clone it here. This is too tiny. Nope, getting my two workflows confused. So what I want is this one. This will create my two, the origin and upstream. So if you're OCD like me, basically what I'm referring is to git remote. This looks, I think this looks tiny. V, right? And your origin is your repo, a fork, and then upstream. It doesn't have to call upstream, but the convention is upstream is the open source projects repo that you're going to be submitting a PR. So what we want to do is let me open code editor here and create a branch. So there's questions. Have you removed Thrive from your repo settings branches? No. You can find out how to remove that. I already removed it from the access tokens. I'm getting annoyed, so maybe I'll do it tonight. Or if it's not possible, open an issue. So I think in this repo, we'll set first thing because I start working on main or they use master. Fine, be like that. Create a branch. If you can do git checkout -b for a new branch, and we'll call this one update Knative 1.2. And then there should not be that much Knative in this repo, so it's only those two scripts, I think. So it's in the README, and then these environment variables, which you can override with all very old versions. I don't think they're used somewhere else. I can double check. Actually, these are useful for testing because of the build. So you can change those ones when you're doing a build, but it's this one. But the thing is, I was reading that variables, but then they have it hard-coded here. Funny, right? So I don't know if I should use the variable or not. Maybe I should, or not yet. I maybe open the PR and ask. So we'll do this one only. So it's which one is it? Disable. Disable, enable, add-on lists, that stays. Actually, this should change, so we'll change this one to 1, 2. Where else it says it has Knative. The sum of the actions only available AMD64. Not true. Not true. We support ARM, so let's remove this. We support ARM. I feel offended. I mean, we work so hard to support multiple platforms. So we create the image with Go, do the multi-platform compiler, cross-compiling with Go, and then S390. Yeah, we support S390. We support S390X. Yeah, we have image 390X. Yes. Let me see. No more Knative here. Okay. Have testing. Neat. I don't know why this thing says. What is a Python script? Oh. I may need to look at skipping Istio and Candy. I want to remove Istio. Under time pressure equals true. What is this? We are under time pressure. Skipping Istio. What? I really don't understand. I'll need to sit down and look at how they're testing this stuff. Are they being funny under time pressure? Somebody knows? Yeah, so yeah, it's like I work PRs like I'm going to fix this little thing and I'm like, why this other 90% over here not correct? Yes, I don't know why. I don't know what they're doing here. Knative. disabling Knative, validate Knative. Validate Knative doesn't do anything, I think. It's an empty function? It's an empty function? Oh, here it is. Validate Knative. Deploying work. Oh, actually, they deploy an app. Machine x86 are only relevant to x86. That's not true. Wait for the installation. Services that need to be available. Okay. And then it goes into wait for port state. Actually, it has tests. Okay. I'm impressed. I was playing with the registry. So they just check that these things is up, but we have eventing. They're not checking eventing. Okay, maybe I should do like 2 PRs, one to update the version and a second one to update testing. And then this is the hello world. This is the under features. Yeah, test templates. So yeah, this is how a Knative looks like. Service, the YAML, right? It's a spec, template spec, containers, image. Two specs? Yeah, we have 2 specs. I was getting confused. Hello world go. And actually, they're putting our image from UCR. That explains our numbers. So going back to this thing, I don't think, is this variable used anywhere? Used anywhere. It's not used anywhere. Okay. Let's go back to the thing. So I think it was just enable and disable under actions. Knative. The first thing I want to do is remove Istio. But if they check for Istio, I'll remove it. I don't want Istio. And there's no instruction how to get Knative even working. And then what we want is the CRDs, but right now we use Knative dash, so they're not quite the same. I think I had them here in the other one. Actually, let me grab it from the install instructions. So the CRD is here, it's this guy. So they need to look like this. So this guy needs to look like this. Yes. I don't want to make typos. And then, nope, it's not that one. The next one is, did I close my window? Oh, it went down. The next one is this one. Serving core. I don't know why they have it separately. Shoot. Okay. My OCD. I will put serving together and eventing together, but they put the CRDs first. So what I was doing, serving core. So it's serving core. It's this one, and then basically remove this one. And the thing is, it needs to have Knative. Okay. So that looks a little bit better. And then I don't want Istio, I want Courier. I want this guy. I'm doing it at the same level, so the diff, they don't get scared about the diff. So that's Courier, and that's from Knative. We have to update this. It's not the right one. It's Knative Sandbox. It's just doing a redirect. We moved this repo. Let me look for, where should I leave it there? Let's leave it there. They don't get scared that we're using Sandbox. But it's in Sandbox. It's like, yeah, but after a year, I think after a year, GitHub removed those redirects. So it's good to use. Actually, I should open an issue in the documentation. So for now, I think what we need to do, I want to do Knative Sandbox. Not type github.com/knative sandbox. There we go. I want Courier, Net Courier, and I want the latest release. And I want the YAML. I want which YAML? The release or the Courier? I want Courier. I want this guy. That's the one I want. That's the one I want. Oh, okay. And then serving domain. And then serving domain, which is down here in DNS. And I don't know why they don't configure the config map. People need to do that. Let me see. So that should be default domain. And and then I would add the other thing, which is configure Courier. I don't know why they don't do this. So I would do that after the YAMLs, and then do this. And then maybe, I don't know if they don't like, they do some parsing. Just in case. Put a comment here. They put comments. I'll put comments anywhere. Here. It's a shell script. Yeah. For serving. Networking layer. User can change it later. Istio or okay. And I don't know why they have this extra message about the eventing. So I'll put visit knative.dev for more customizations for Knative. Does this work? No, this doesn't work. Admins here. Send them here. Oh, I'm silent. Is somebody still watching? Is there a reason Knative has not official Helm charts? Yeah, is there a reason Knative to have done an official Helm chart? I think there's no reason. It's just yeah, I was going to do them and maintain them. It's a matter of finding who wants to maintain them and write and then write the automation, like write the chart, write scripts for every release or every patch release, the automation to update the chart with the new version, and then push it to, we need to host it somewhere. We can use GitHub pages, and then probably push it to Artifact. the CNCF project. But yeah, no reason at all. It's just contributors. We need the contributors to work on it if they want to maintain. It's maintenance, right? And then people open bugs, and then we need someone to like answer why something should not be changed or it should be changed, and follow along with all that, and add the testing and the integration. So yeah, that's the short answer. But I was going to do, I think one of the streams that I'm going to do is just to show people learn how to write Helm charts. I was going to take an example like Knative doesn't have Helm charts. So if we want to create Helm charts, let's create a Helm chart. And then maybe the next episode I can do Argo, like deploying the Helm chart. So if you have ideas around that, let me know. So that's kind of the things I will be doing in these streams. So we have that, and we need eventing. So let's do eventing quickly, and then we'll finish. I don't want to bore people to death. So installing eventing. I don't know why they install both. They should offer an option to say I only want serving or I only want eventing, or an option like I want the whole enchilada and put everything in there. But I guess it's if people use Microg8s a lot on Knative, they can contribute that. I'm more than willing to advise and help anyone to own that. So that's the CRD for eventing, and we need the core for eventing, and we need core for that's. This is why why they have it in this order. I don't want to change that much because I don't want them to be afraid of all the changes. To do this, it'll be a win, and then I can do the other ones. In-memory channel and empty channel broker. These are good to have, but they're not for production. So, but they're good to have them. That's what we have in our quick start tutorial. And those are located in here, empty channel. So we need the channel. Need the channel. And wait, that was the channel? I'm confused. So what's the other one? Oh, the broker. Okay. The channel should go before the broker. I think it's working by chance. You want to be semantically correct. And then you wait. I'm confused. Why are instructions don't put both? Put the broker. Oh, the channel is up here. Memory channel. Memory channel. There you go. The channel and then the broker. So if we look at the diff, let's not mess with this today. I think this is the next PR. Yeah, so replacing Istio with courier in memory channel, blah, 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 blah. Adding the config map, cleaning up the error thing, and then remove Istio. So that should be the recipe. And then to delete, I think I want the same YAMLs. I don't know why they like duplicate. They should put this in one file. I don't have duplication, but it's not my project. And I know they're busy, and they'll be more than happy to have contributors, just as I would do for Knative. So I should not be complaining. and then the deletion is a matter of removing the YAMLs. So if you have only want to install Knative, please do not delete the namespace. That's not the right way to uninstall Knative, because there are actually other things that are installed, like artback things and webhooks. So your recommendation is use the operator. Maybe we should update Microg8s, use the operator of Knative instead of like all the YAMLs. So they're doing a delete, they're doing a sleep. Good luck. And they don't do anything with Istio, which is a good thing. I think that's it. We have a PR. So let's add these two things and say update Knative 1.2. I can type update, and that's everything. Okay, so that's, and then I'll push it to so if you're doing a fork, you cannot push to upstream because you don't have write access. And if you're a maintainer, you should put like do not push the git config setting to not push to upstream, so you don't make that mistake. So you want to push to origin, which is your fork. Once that's done, VS Code is sometimes very good of opening the branch for you, but this time didn't do it. So what we can do is go to the fork, your fork or their fork, right? It will show in both places this yellow thing to say, hey, you have something that you want to push. You can say, yes, I want to push it. It selects their default branch. This is your branch. And then you can say things like fixes, put the number of that issue thing. Oh, they closed this one. No, the other one. I thought they had an issue. Let's see what that thing is. Let's see. Issue. Native. Let's say that we run 2720. Since it's still more simple working layer provided by Knative. Yeah, I did this. I think I did this early before. Bridge reference PR fixing price. Oh. I don't need a thank you. And I think that's it. And create pull request. And they have a GitHub action that runs. I'm going to show that as the last thing. They have a GitHub action that you can run in your fork or you can run in their fork. But it does the build that you can run in your Ubuntu system to compile everything, going through even the tests, running the tests, which are written in Python. So it's something that I did a quick look when I was reviewing the CLA and stuff, but that's the PR. So that's it. Somebody will see it. The thing will run. Oh, somebody needs to approve the thing to run. We'll see if we get it run. I think that's it for today. Oh, I was going to do 1 hour, so it's 1 hour and 20 minutes. And Eddie sent me a Twitter and DM. Hopefully I didn't put my password that everybody saw it. Or he's going to send me a PR. It didn't. And yeah, I think Eddie is late for you. Thank you for watching me on a Sunday night. And Wally said that he needed to go to bed because I have work tomorrow. Oh, about the helmet, yeah, we can do that. We can do it on a stream. We can do pair programming, right? And talk about best practices, building Helm and the automation and GitHub Actions to post it. I think that's it. I tried today to do my second stream, and I did it on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. So I think that's it for today. Until next time. And for those of you that follow me on the Kubernetes Book Club, we'll see you next Friday. Well, this Friday on Chapter 2 for the book Networking and Kubernetes. So see you. Have a good weekend. Rest of the weekend.